Good day, here are the headlines from the Philippine News Agency. President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has directed the immediate implementation of the amnesty program for the remaining members of the Communist Party of the Philippines New People's Army National Democratic Front or CPP-NPA-NDF. In a press briefing, National Security Advisor Eduardo Año said the President made the order to the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict or NTF-LCAC. He says the President has approved the implementing rules and regulations on the grant of amnesty to the remaining members of the communist movement. Under Proclamation 404, Marcos granted amnesty to former members of the CPP-NPA-NDF who have committed crimes punishable under the revised penal code and special penal laws in support of their political beliefs as well as other offenses. Año says about 1,500 members initially signified their intention to apply for amnesty. Meanwhile, the Office of the Presidential Advisor on Peace, Reconciliation and Unity or OPAPRU organized around 17 local amnesty boards in various regions to process applications for amnesty. Records showed there are 1,576 remaining members of the CPP-NPA-NDF with 1,406 firearms. Shifting gears now, the Department of Agriculture is expecting around 1.1% increase in rice production for the first quarter of the year despite the persistence of the El Niño phenomenon. In an interview, Agriculture Secretary Francisco Tiu Laurel Jr. said the incremental growth would help mitigate import volumes, contrary to the March 2024 forecast of the United States Department of Agriculture of 4.1 million metric tons import volume this year. Laurel said the total production in the country is expected to yield about 4.78 million metric tons.
If you may recall, 2022, ang import statistics is 3.8 million. Last year, actually, it went down to 3.5 million metric tons. So I think, hopefully, hindi tayo abot sa 4 million metric tons this year. Since production seems to be okay, even with El Niño.
Laurel also assured that the country's rice buffer stock through the National Food Authority remains uncompromised despite the ongoing suspension of operations in 97 NFA warehouses.
We are managing with our limited resources at the moment on manpower. Manage naman ng maayos ang NFA at the moment.
The Department of Education reminds school administrators of their authority to cancel face-to-face classes due to intense heat affecting various regions in the country. In a statement, DepEd says school administrators have the authority to decide on class suspensions and the shift to alternative delivery modes or ADM amid extreme heat or other calamities. As of 4 p.m. on Thursday, around 4,769 schools in 11 regions in the country have shifted to ADM, affecting over 2.4 million learners nationwide. The highest number of schools implementing ADM was reported in Western Visayas with 1,015 schools, followed by Central Luzon, Sorsogon, Ilocos Region, and Zamboanga Peninsula. In Metro Manila, 168 schools have shifted to alternative delivery modes. These are in the cities of Caloocan, Malabon, Marikina, Muntinlupa, Navotas, Parañaque, San Juan, Taguig, and the lone municipality of Pateros. Meanwhile, in-person classes were not suspended in Cagayan Valley, Northern Mindanao, Davao Region, Caraga, and the Cordillera Administrative Region. The Department of Health marked a slight decrease in the number of deaths due to rabies from January to March 16 this year. The DOH says 89 cases of rabies reported resulted in fatalities, placing the death rate at 100%. During the same period last year, the DOH recorded 91 cases of rabies. Sorsogon recorded the highest number of cases, followed by Calabarzon and Bicol Region. The DOH says 92% of cases had a history of dog bites, 5% were cat bites, while the remaining cases involved bites from other animals. Meanwhile, there have been no reported cases of rabies transmission from cattle or other livestock to humans in the country. The Department of Environment and Natural Resources is gearing up to identify, map, and designate public lands and portions of municipal waters suitable for salt production. The DENR says the mandate to identify salt production areas is in accordance with Republic Act 11985, or an act strengthening and revitalizing the salt industry in the Philippines. The act that came into effect on April 1 states that priority areas include Ilocos Norte, Ilocos Sur, La Union, Pangasinan, Zambales, Bataan, Occidental Mindoro, Oriental Mindoro, Palawan, Marinduque, Quezon Province, Misamis Oriental, and Antique. DENR Undersecretary Jonas Leones said abandoned fish ponds will be assessed for the development of the salt industry, except for fish sanctuaries and marine protected areas. He also assures local fisher folk in municipal waters will not be affected as they usually fish in deeper areas. This as salt production is being done on the dry part of the coastline. Under Section 10 of RA 11985, transfer of identified and designated public lands for salt production to the administrative jurisdiction of the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources should be done within 90 days from its effectivity. The DENR is also mandated to inform the public and interested salt industry investors of the result of the mandatory mapping, identification, and designation of the said public lands. And that's the latest and the biggest stories on the PNA Headlines. For more news updates, please visit our website, pna.gov.ph, or our Facebook and X account, Philippine News Agency. The PNA Headlines is also streamed via the Servicio Facebook page. You may also watch the PNA Headlines through the Philippine News Agency's YouTube account via the News and Information Bureau website, nib.gov.ph, under PNA News, or on the Facebook page of the Presidential Communications Office, or PCO. I'm Bench Bondok. This is the PNA Headlines, bringing stories that unite the nation.